Hey, I'm ChristopherJMUA and welcome back to my channel. Today we are creating Locke here from Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. This is a collaboration with Cassie S and Gore Girl FX. I'm Locke, they are Shock and Barrel, as you could tell. So I'm first going to pick up my palette and palette knife because I don't want to make a mess all over my table, and my Ben Nye nose and scar wax. This was the first time I ever used nose and scar wax, and my very dirty bottle of liquid latex. Not the first time I've used liquid latex. Don't forget to shake your liquid latex, by the way. But this is the first time I ever used the scar wax, and oh my gosh, it was definitely a learning process. Use a moisturizer on your hands so that it doesn't get gummy and sticky all over your hands. What is wrong with me? So I'm dipping a Q-tip into the liquid latex so that I can give the scar wax a tacky base to stick to, and of course letting it dry. Now I'm going to go in with my L'Oreal Brow Stylist Sculptor Brow Pencil. I'm using this to map out the area on my face that I want the scar wax to go, kind of marking my smile essentially. I don't know why I didn't do that before I put on the liquid latex. I should have, but I don't even do it on the other side later. Spoiler alert. And of course, more lotion so that I don't get my hands all gross and sticky, and so that I can actually maneuver the scar wax. Think of maneuvering scar wax like maneuvering partially melting candle wax. It's just gonna stick to everything. So I form it into that little tube shape so that it's easy to lay down and start to spread out from the point that I lay it down at. And I really just smush it into my cheek so that it gets a solid hold on the area I'm gonna put it. Then from that point, I start to lay down the edges because it seems like the edges adhere better than one solid hunk of scar wax. So I really just start pushing those edges down and making little micro divots with it, if you will. And I do that for every piece of scar wax that I put on. I just continue adding more and pulling it in more and more and taking it higher. And anywhere I'm going to be putting the scar wax, that's where I'm putting liquid latex. I just want to make sure that everywhere I put the scar wax has a tacky base so that A, it will come off a lot easier and just in one solid sheet if possible, and B, well, that's pretty much the only reason, really. This is when I realized that that stuff doesn't work for this. It's a mattifying lotion, and apparently mattifying is not good for this. But Physicians Formula Argan Oil is amazing. I wish I would have used it from the beginning because all of that buildup around my lip that I just tried to wipe would not have been there because I wouldn't have had all of that excess buildup, essentially. Now I'm taking a makeup wipe just around the edges so that I can kind of clean up whatever's left over. The makeup wipe was literally perfect for this because it took away the excess, but it also kind of smoothed out the edges even better than what they were already smoothed out. So I could really kind of finesse the edges of the scar wax into my skin. Made it look a little more skin-like. We are all dry now, just admiring myself, I guess. Now I'm going to go in with the Mayron Fixative. This is essentially a very potent scented thing that you just kind of seal in the prosthetic, if you will, with. And then the Mayron Barrier Spray. So just super intense setting spray. Honestly, it smelled so much like hairspray that I ended up using it for hairspray after I sprayed my face, and it worked. And now the good old Coty Airspun. We're gonna set everything with that. Word of advice, maybe don't use Coty Airspun for this. Try to use something white. Actually white. Now I'm going to go in with the Wet n Wild paint pot. This one is in white, as you can see, and just some rando sponge that I don't really care about. I would also thoroughly recommend maybe using a Scylla sponge, or like just a standard cosmetic sponge, or just some thin sponge rather than a thick beauty blender type shaped sponge, because it soaks up so much product. Now going back into my Airspun, and I'm going to set my entire face. This is more so what I would suggest using for just a white powder, because the beigey tint that powder has kind of showed up on my face. And my little dog Leaf had to stop and pay a visit, so I had to give him some of my love while he was close. And then I sent him away. Now I'm going to go in with the CC Beauty Professional Cosmetics. It's like the Flash palette from Makeup Forever, but it's the dupe from Amazon for $12.99 instead of $99.99. I've never used the Flash palette, so I don't know what it's like comparably, but I know it works for me. It gets done what I need it to get done. Oh, and I was just filling in my lips with that, with the black. Again, admiring my work thus far. Now I'm going to go in with that teal shade because the characters that we're going with are dead, as you might have noticed, and they have those dead blue lips. So that's what I'm doing now, is trying to manipulate the teal to look slightly realistic. And this is also my take on this character. It's my envisionment of if he was, you know, like almost 30 and not a kid in the movie anymore. I don't know how he grew up when he was dead, but he did. Now I'm using this fan brush just to add some texture to the lips so it looks a little more realistic. Now I'm going in with this Hollywood and Vine Kohl pencil in the shade Black. I'm using this all over my lid and also going to be all over my lower lash line. When you want to look dead, you need to have sunken in black eyes. Didn't you know? And now we're going to go in with just a big fluffy brush. It doesn't really matter what you use. I suggest maybe trying not to use what you don't maybe one day want to potentially ruin, just in case. I'm also going to go into the Jefa Cosmetics Alien Palette using the shade Tall Gray to blend out that Kohl pencil. Black doesn't just go from black to white, you know. It goes from black to gray to white. So that's what we're doing here, is just blending the black into the white. Trying to get as smooth of a gradient as possible. Since the character has a very pointy nose, I also wanted to go down the bridge of my nose and take it a little closer to the point. I'm also going into the shade Black Hole a little bit so that I can make sure I set that eyeliner so it's not quite as shiny, because I'm dead. I don't need shiny glam eyes. I need sunken into my head eyes. Now I'm doing the same thing on the other side. Now going back into the shade Tall Gray, and I'm adding a contour around the edges of my face. I'm doing this so that I can resemble more of the shape of the character's head. He has a very tall head with a pointy chin, a pointy nose, and a widow's peak, well, more of a widow's peak than I have. And it's very flat on the crown of his head. So I'm trying to duplicate that type of shape with the shade Tall Gray. That's me over analyzing the shape of my face in the monitor. Trying to get that pointy chin, you know? Who doesn't want that pointy chin? This is how I'm creating the narrow shape that his face has. Now going into the Jeffree Star Velour Liquid Lipstick in the shade Flamethrower. I'm using this for my ginger brows, because apparently Locke was a ginger when he died, and still is. Now we have a flamethrower brow. There you have it, folks. Beautiful. Now I'm taking a big fluffy brush into the shade Black Hole, and I'm just furthering the illusion of that contour, making sure that the shape is really deepened. And I'm going to go in with this little tiny brush that came out of some makeup thing at some point, and into the Wet n Wild paint pot and the NYX finishing powder in white this time. And I'm just going everywhere that wasn't quite as pigmented and white as I wanted it to be originally, and just kind of touching up everywhere that I might have missed, cleaning up the edges, fine details, that sort of thing. Now I'm going in with this flat paintbrush. Oh, all brushes I used mostly for the paints are paint brushes. They are not makeup brushes. I just don't want to use my good makeup brushes for that. Now I'm going to go in with this red hair color. Got it from Walmart. Yes, I am. I'm going to shake it first. And there we have it. I wanted to bring down the two little strands to make it kind of resemble devil horns, because I thought it would be fitting, and I couldn't get my hair to do what his hair does. Again, just some more finishing touches. I'm bringing the white down all the way to the neck. Make sure everything's covered. Going back in with my Maron Barrier Spray. Making sure everything is set and locked tight into place so that I can trick or treat all night long.
I can see you from behind. You can hear me in your mind. Run so fast as you can go. Time will catch you before you know.
I thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to give Cassie and Gore Girl a follow and to subscribe. I will link them down below so that you don't forget. Also, if you want to, you can check out my Instagram. It's just ChristopherJMUA, but I also left this look over there as well if you want to go give it a like and follow. See you guys next time.